I feel like you got off the hook a little bit, and I want to hold you accountable here, because these last couple of segments, we talked about some of the do's and don'ts with investing, and you keep going back to the fact that it's all in the math. And I think that the way you've laid it out, I think that sounds perfectly reasonable. But you didn't tell us much about the math. Like, if that's the single most important thing, can you go a little bit deeper into the math? Because that seems to be the number one most important thing in this entire discussion.
No question about it. It absolutely is. And just on a side note, just one little thing that just popped in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Do not learn real estate investing from the hotel speakers. Okay? And I know a lot of you do, because I know when they come to town, when we used to do this before the pandemic, because our phones would blow up. People would be calling, I'm a real estate investor. Oh, you must have been at the Marriott this weekend, or the XYZ Convention Center, or whatever. So here's the thing. They, to some degree, so if you go back like 1800s, and they're selling the potions and the oils and all that, and it's 100% wrapped up in this emotional excitement and experience. So the internet is that way as well, and you'll hear them talk about OPM, other people's money. And guess whose money they're using? Yeah, that's right. They're using yours. I actually know a speaker that sells a product. It's $4,500, and he sells about 5,000 to 6,000 of those per year. So that's right. He's using your $20 million to go buy what? Real estate that he owns.
Mm-hmm.
Other people's money, your money. Okay. So anyway. Dig in, learn. This is an educational thing, so you need to dig in. And so to Keith's point, let's dive into some of these maths. And what we got to learn is, some formulas. Different sometimes than just your typical adding and subtracting, right? So how can you pay $29 million more than the last guy and win? They know their numbers. And so in real estate, in investing, we have these things called a cap rate, or you might hear, I talked about an ROI, return on investment, or NOI. Some people look at what they call cash-on-cash return, meaning this: if I put $100,000 of my money into this, then what is my percentage of return, not on the entire investment, but just on the $100,000 that I put in? And that's one way that some investors calculate that. So if you're buying a $500,000 property, you're putting your 100, and the bank is putting what? Their 400. But you're all in. All you have in the deal, you secured a $500,000 investment for only $100,000, which is great. That's called leverage. And so as we dig through those numbers, we look at, if I want to get a 10% return on my money, then I can take all of the income that is coming in minus all of my expenses, and then divide that into my $100,000, and it gives me a percentage. And is that percentage where I want it to be? That is one way to look at it. And the capitalization rate is basically, if I paid cash for this property and it had this much income, what would be my return rate? And those typically in real estate, as a guide, a lot of people use the 1% rule. So if I paid $1 million for the building or for the property, then it should bring me in $100,000 over the course of an entire year. And so that's kind of the math that they look at. Okay, so I will say now, with money being as cheap as it is, you've got to factor those things in too. So I see some investors going as low as 6% or 8%. Why? Well, they can take a little bit less in a return as a percentage, because money was at 6% and now it's at 4%. And so everything changes. You just got to look at the overall price of money and your overall goal, if you will, where you want to get to in real estate investing. So there is a lot to it, and the best thing I can tell you to do is dig in and do your homework. Study the commercial markets. Those do very, very well.